Hello there, beautiful people. Welcome back to another exciting vlog for today's vlog. Today I'm going to talk about everything like living renting in China, renting an apartment, living in Chinese communities, the experience and the costs and the good and the bad. And if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome. My name is Rosalia Shiwever. Welcome to Rosalia Shiwever official YouTube channel. And on this video, I create content about living abroad and all my projects that I love. I'm a self-development enthusiast, and I love business and I love storytelling. Yeah, right now I'm just walking in the community where I live, or I'm just walking in this community place, like this communal area. English is not my mother tongue. I'm just walking here before I go and get my water. I'm going to pick up water because there's like a point where we can collect water for drinking. And right now I'm walking around just to show you, and after that I will be going to run. I just need to like run for 20 minutes before I do my day exercise. But let's talk about it. So today I want to talk about like renting, right? Renting, living in an apartment in a Chinese community and all that. I will begin with the good about living in a Chinese community. I think Chinese community overall are so beautiful, whether it's in a really great residential area where it's luxurious and all that. It's at the end of the day, whatever standard the community or residential area is, it's always given good facilities. Like facilities, for example, as you can see here, they have some exercising courts, they have a lot of plants around, they have a lot of structured communities, and that's something amazing. And a lot of communities in other countries, I don't think they do have that. And that's something very good. You could come here, wake up in the morning, do your exercise and all that, and the environment is usually just so good. A lot of plants, a lot of pathways, and a lot of places you could do your exercise. Just refreshing. I think that's something really good because their residential areas are mostly structured. And another thing about Chinese communities, they have really great services. For example, our garbage collecting services, which is really arranged well in let me just show you this garbage site that we have in this community, for illustration purpose, right? They have set up in a way that if you are going to like throw the garbage, it's gonna be in different structures or just different categories. And this is the garbage collecting area, which is so good because you could do like food waste, whatever, and all that, different ones, recyclable, non-recyclables, and all that. So that's a good thing because then the environment does not tend to be overcrowded with garbage and not dirty. And it's like everyone needs to come and dump there, right? Another thing about living in communities in China, they're very safe. You would most likely not get any problem or challenge. They're safe, security is good, and people can be friendly. Sometimes people can be friendly. And another great thing about living in in this community, or like living in an apartment, I feel it's cheap. It's still cheap. You can get really, really cheap apartments. And of course, there are those who are very expensive, and just depends on, like what do you want. Another thing that I love about living in Chinese community areas, it's like there is just great organization. And like electricity and water, you can pay online. That's something amazing. You can pay that online, and you don't have to like get a card and swipe, or if electricity goes off, recharge with some scratching cards and things like that. Everything can be processed online. That's good. Like, that's really good. Yeah, that's some good things about living in Chinese apartments or renting, I know when you are going to before renting, of course you'll need to do like background check on which community you're going to live. You're going to do background check with like getting an agent, or for example, to help you find a perfect apartment. But let me get into the challenges of really like renting. I do feel housing for foreigners sometimes it's a challenge as well, because not all communities are welcoming foreigners. That's something. Some community you could like go to different agents, and then you ask them like, okay, I'm looking for a place. Can you please give me, I want this apartment. It's so beautiful. You could find an apartment that is so beautiful and just amazing. But the problem will be the landlord will not allow you to live there because you are a foreigner. I think that becomes very uncomfortable for foreigners, and we find it very like, why are you not, it's just, you see, it's just living. And not all communities are actually welcoming foreigners. They can be like, okay, this, you cannot stay here, you cannot stay here, you cannot stay here. A lot of you cannot stay here because you are a foreigner, and that can be annoying. Like, for example, one of my friends was just telling me like, okay, apparently she was going to register at a certain place, and then she was just being told like, no, you cannot stay there. And guys, that's so annoying, because to find an apartment already is not that easy. You have to travel to so many different communities unless you have a friend who is already living in a certain community, and that's the easiest way for you to find something. But if you have not, then you need to like call different agents. You have to do a lot of like research for yourself, right? So when someone says that you cannot live in this community, then it becomes annoying. Yeah, so that is one negative of living in Chinese communities. Not all places are allowing foreigners to stay there. And another thing that I've picked up while staying renting or living in Chinese communities is that like all the Chinese people can just come to you and they're like asking you questions like, oh, so what are you like, what, like they ask you personal questions. Even in an elevator, they would just be like, oh, hi, or so where are you from, or what are you doing here? Oh, what? I'm just like, yo, sometimes you don't want to like no one to be in your business, you know. So you depends on how you respond to that. But usually I think that can be a little bit not comfortable, because it can be annoying, you know. It can be annoying. That's one. Another negative of living in Chinese community, I feel, and this is not about like, it's not about housing as a problem. The challenge is that when you are living in some communities, you might be alone, and that can be a bit of a feeling like you feel so lonely. And you know, Chinese communities are so far apart. Like the whole country is so big. Imagine the city can be so big as well, and that can be so annoying. So mostly as a foreigner, I would feel like lonely at times because I'm just living alone, you know. I'll be feeling lonely and just like, okay, what am I doing with my life? What am I doing here? You know, so, but the good thing is we can run. So I say that I can feel lonely sometimes when I'm living alone, I feel like, oh my God, I'm scared. What if someone comes and then they just like check in? Like, I think of such things sometimes. So you can tend to feel like it can be uncomfortable sometimes. Okay, I need this machine to stop talking. Okay, just keep quiet. Thank you. So yeah, it can be like that. Sometimes it can be annoying. You'll be feeling scared, you feel lonely, but still it's not really gonna stop the reggae, because you know, at the end of the day, you might have your friends close by, or you have your like partners, or you have like some people. And I would say if you're gonna rent in China, it's advisable if you go in a community where there are already people who you know, like you go close to where your friends are. And most of foreigners, that's what they do. They like all just rent in the same community so that they can always be accessible to each other. But another thing of staying, renting, or just in general, I felt it's expensive. Now I feel at the same time I feel it's cheap, at the same time I feel it's expensive. That's like a double sword kind of thing, and I really don't know how to go about it, because now it's like you need to take care of your, like, all the expenses are on you: food, cleaning, utilities like electricity and water. I don't even know the bill for my water. I received a receipt like I need to pay, but I don't even know how to pay water. So I'm ignoring it until they cut it off, I guess. Until they cut it off, that's when I'll be really alarmed that I need to pay for my water. But I was just looking at the bill when I was paying for electricity, and I'm like, yo, adulthood is expensive, you know. But that is like, anyway, life is like that. You will need to pay for bills anyway, right? So it's not only about living in Chinese communities or housing in China or in general. I feel renting in general, it can be a little bit yeah, obviously we need to live in apartments. Where else are we going to live, right? But it's a lot of expenses. And living just like this, I mean, like living in China in general, I'm just like, yo, it can be expensive for a foreigner, because every single thing, every single movement you're making, you need money. And it looks like life is so cheap abroad, but no, it's not expensive. It's not cheap. I have been tracking my expenses throughout like the past 3 months, and I've seen where my money is going. And trust me, like trips, I'm making trips, I'm buying this, like even just food. Food is expensive on its own, because every food that you're going to consume, you will need to buy it. So that's my experience of living right now as a grown-up adult living abroad, and I feel that is expensive and needs a lot of funding. I need a sponsor, or I need a lot of income, utilities. I need of income sources, because I realize that for me to really live a comfortable life, I need to have enough money. Anyways, that's my experience of living outside, living abroad, and let me know what you think about this. I think the disadvantage of living Chinese communities are not so many. There are more advantages outweighing disadvantages. The only thing that you really sometimes feel, it's about the racial thing, the racial card. People saying you cannot live here, you cannot live there, you can't register here, you cannot what things like that. But otherwise, it's so comfortable. The apartments can be still very beautiful, but for a very fair price. I was living in this very beautiful apartment like about a year ago, and I was like, oh yeah, it's so beautiful, but it's still at a reasonable price. Okay, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Until my next video, stay connected. Stay connected. Goodbye.